Hi, Dr. Shariffa.
Hello, hi.
Yeah. Hi, we
Hello,
cannot see you. Can you please turn on your video?
hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Hi, Dr.
Yeah,
Shariffa. How
sorry.
are you? This is Melinda, right?
Hello, hi. Sorry, I'm still traveling.
Sorry, your voice is not clear. Could you please talk a bit loud?
Could I what? Sorry?
Okay. Okay. So,
Hello, yeah.
yes, we can hear you now. So, thank you so much, Dr. Shariffa, for joining this event, day one. So, welcome on stage, Dr. Shariffa. So, let me introduce her. Leadership is not just about power, it's about purpose, influence, and legacy. Dr. Shariffa Saida, a dedicated family physician and public health expert, brings a refreshing perspective on shaping the next generation of women leaders. Her approach weighs cultural values with evidence based strategies, ensuring that women don't just rise in leadership but thrive with authenticity and impact. Get ready to redefine leadership and discover how influence can drive change for future generations. So, welcome on stage, Dr. Shariffa. So, yes, you can start your presentation. Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me just share my screen.
Okay.
Right, can you guys see? Yeah?
Yes, we can see. We can see.
Okay, right. Okay, so my presentation is actually on empowering women of tomorrow and how we can smash barriers, we build an empowered community, and the importance of building up our women's capabilities, capacities in terms of social, intellectual, physically, and all that. Again, some of this also comes from my lived experiences as being a woman in this part of the world. So I'm from Singapore, and we have about 6 million people. So we're a very very tiny island in Southeast Asia. Um, yeah. Okay. So the next slide. So I behind every woman we know that a woman they wear many hats. So for me, these are just some of the hats that I wear in my daily life, in my professional life, personal life, and just how to balance all that responsibilities that we have as a woman. And so these are some of the hats that I wear. So I am married and I have three beautiful girls. And when I'm not doing my day job as a family physician, so I work in a primary care setting and I see patients. And I look after their chronic health and preventive health as well, in terms of screenings and vaccinations and all that. So when I'm not a mentor to the students, I actually do a lot of community programs, outreach activities to try and uplift the health of our local community here in Singapore. I deliver health talks, I run some health screenings, and I published a book recently last year as well, catered towards the local community on how to age gracefully. So something very, very specific to them. Okay, so I thought I'd just like to mention a little bit about the glass ceiling for women because this is something that I have noticed and also have been reminded of recently as well. It's this invisible barrier that prevents women from advancing in their careers, especially senior leadership roles. Because sometimes we hear this barrier can hold back very talented women. It can create challenges like gender bias, and sometimes it's a systemic or organizational change that needs to be instituted. Sometimes there is a lack of representation as well. So I am actually very quick to see whether a workplace is inclusive or not, just by how many women there are on the board, in senior positions, and even in like middle management. So sometimes because of this invisible barrier, despite our talents, we sometimes have disparities in pay and promotion, and we'll see that later on as well. So, so recognizing this glass ceiling, why is it important to recognize this glass ceiling? Because it is a manifestation of systemic gender inequality. We need to recognize this. Once you recognize this as a problem, and then you can try to identify and address the structural and cultural barriers that can limit a woman's opportunity. So societies and organizations, they can all take a proactive steps. They all can take proactive steps to create fairer systems where women can have equal access to leadership roles and decision-making positions. So it promotes this sort of gender equality, and this encourages diversity in leadership as well. Because it can be an echo chamber if it's all men. They think the same way in the same industry. Sometimes it leads to an echo chamber. So by having more women representation, that leads to a lot of diversity in terms of thinking, critical thinking, decision making, problem solving skills as well. So when we break these glass ceilings, it ensures that our voices are represented as well. And women stand up for women. Moms recognize moms, women recognize women. So I've also noticed, like in my own experiences, being under directors who are predominantly female, and being under like boards who are predominantly female, and also boards who are predominantly men. um, I have to say that the bots who are predominantly men, surprisingly, they have been the best bosses I've had. But that's not to say the female ones are not good. They are very good as well. They're very accommodating. So we recognize, as new moms, as moms who come back from maternity leave and all that. So they accommodate a lot. So that is also where this diversity comes in. This we empower and we try to accommodate some of us who have come back from maternity leave after like a year, 2 years, and then we want to go back into the healthcare setting. So sometimes a lot of things have changed when we come back after maternity leave. So it's all about supporting our employees once they come back from a very long leave. Um, so this also encourages women, it empowers future generations because it validates the challenges that that women face, and it empowers them to also advocate for themselves and others. So I realize that we have this sort of responsibility upon us to actually break this glass ceiling so that it can inspire younger generations to also pursue their ambitions without feeling limited by their gender. And this actually uh I was recently reminded of this as well because I recently applied for a leadership program, and the board was entirely male. Predominantly the one who decided, they were predominantly male, and I felt very insecure because I was a female, I was a mom, and previously I didn't have very good experiences when I highlighted my responsibilities as a doctor and a working mom as well. So I felt like they didn't understand very much, but I still pursued. So I still pursued with the application, and I got through to the leadership program. So hopefully, so that is one step, one way where you could actually break this glass ceiling. So just try to pursue your ambition, even if you feel like you doubt yourself, you think you're not ready. But as long as you give it a chance, So this also addresses unconscious bias and stereotypes, like what we mentioned earlier as well. So when you recognize this, it can help to challenge these biases, and it can shift societal perceptions. So we also see, like from this graph here, that when we have more women in leadership, they actually form the top 10% of performances in the industries that they have. So we can see here some statistics. So only 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women, and women hold about just over 1 in 4 parliamentary seats globally. In Singapore, we have done a bit better. Before the pandemic, we were about 21%. Now we are at about 29%, so almost 1 in 3 that we have women in parliament in Singapore here. And gender gaps also persist in pay, representation, and access to leadership opportunities. So this is something that even Singapore recognizes, even though there has been a narrower gap, but we recognize that there is this thing called occupational segregation, where certain jobs are more male dominated as opposed to female dominated, even though women now have they're upskilling themselves. Okay, so some strategies, actually some strategies that that me and my team, we've come up to actually try to empower the women in our community. So we actually created this program 3 years ago. Yeah, 2022. So we created this program 3 years ago when I saw the health statistics in our ethnic community. So because of certain socioeconomic factors, some of us are actually at a disadvantage in terms of health outcomes compared to other people. So this could be other men, it could be other races, other women, and things like that. So I decided to sort of the way forward was actually to really upskill and empower women, because I realized that some of them were not getting the access to healthcare resources and knowledge that they should have been. So this is what I did. So we created this program called FemFit. So it's for fitness for women, and it comprises three S. So food, which is nutrition. We have a fitness instructor, and also fun, which incorporates mental well-being. So what is women empowerment? So women empowerment is actually providing women with access to education, resources, and opportunities. It encourages self-confidence, autonomy, and decision making. And why does this matter? Because women who are empowered, they are more likely to take on leadership roles, and they can be the one to effect change, and they can inspire others and to create inclusive environments like what we spoke about, breaking the glass ceiling. So Michelle Obama very nicely puts it, there's no limit to what we as women can accomplish. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So this is the team for my FemFit program. We have Dr. Bibi John. She's a mental health counselor, so she incorporates all the mental health and stress, mental health and well-being. She teaches our participants about stress techniques, coping techniques, to stimulate and boost our mental health well-being. And for me, as a physician, I talk about nutrition and how food as medicine, it can actually play a role in our health. So all about healthy lifestyle as well, which is also another one of my passions. And then we have Coach Zainab, who's a physical trainer, and she does a lot of fitness, physical activities. So we tailor all of it, physical activities, according to the women who participate at that time. So in any one given time, we only have a selected number of individuals. So we see the medical conditions, we see their capabilities in terms of physical, psychological, socially, and then we try to tailor our program accordingly. So these were the health trends that I spoke about recently. Um, so like when I saw the despairing the health statistics that were quite appalling. So in terms of cancer screening, chronic illnesses, mental health, even obesity, they were very, very high among our local population in certain pockets of this population. And we found that even though the government has rolled out national campaigns to provide free cancer screening in terms of breast, cervical, and colon cancer, there were still very high rates of these cancers within our community, within the women, and the rates of cancer screening were also very, very low. And let's not talk about vaccination because that was also equally low. So with obesity, also we found that the national average in Singapore for women, even though it has risen among women it has risen to about 10. When it comes to certain population groups, it can be as high as 24% obesity. So that is really, really high. It's more than double. And then when it comes to regular physical activity, we have one of the lowest rates of participation. Most of our physical activity as Singaporeans is from commuting. So whether, most of them is commuting to and from work with the public transport. Some people cycle, they take the bus, or they walk. So that usually contributes to most of our regular physical activity. But even then, even with the commuting outside of work, if you're not commuting, then not a lot of people anyway, they do these physical activities. Okay, so what we did was we actually taught them to embrace continuous learning. So the idea is you're never too old to learn. So we gave health talks. We taught them how to eat healthy. So it's not just the foods that they know, but also the foods that they don't, or the foods that they used to know when they used to live in a village. Because in Singapore, we were a village, and we were a very rural area as well. And before we became very modern. So like some of our older generations, they remember what it was like, when they used to live in the villages in rural settings where they were very plant predominant. Only on special occasions, festive occasions, they would get some animal protein like meat and chicken and things like that. So we taught them to go back to their roots, to their culture and tradition. And then there was one cycle where we actually had Chinese Muslims join us, the Chinese Muslim Association. So we learned about their culture, how it's like to be a Muslim in Singapore, but also incorporate your Chinese culture. So they taught us the recipes, they taught us how to eat healthy for Chinese cuisine as well. So that was really nice. That was like a two-way learning as well from the facilitators and the participants. So the other thing that we found that really made our program a success was the social connections that these women formed. So they kept coming back, even though some programs, some of our cycles ran for like 8 weeks, so that's 2 months. But these women, they kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and they even got their friends to come and join, because they found that the social connections were really really good. They found that they were all very like-minded individuals. They like to share, they like to tell stories, listen to other people's stories, and they liked how it was very culturally relevant to them. That was the word they used, culturally relevant. So they liked that idea. And this was actually one of the, we did a study on our program as well. And we did like a pre and post test questionnaire, and we found that these social connections that they formed, these actually build confidence and resilience. So this happens when our mental health counselor, Dr. Bibi, so she teaches us how to cope with stresses. She taught us some techniques, art therapy and gardening therapy. So depending on the cycle, depending on the audience's, the participants' interest, she will either do gardening therapy with them as a form of stress mechanism, or she will do for that mental resilience.
Hello. Hi, Shariffa. You went on mute. I think she left from the stage. Maybe she has some network issues. Let's wait for a few minutes. She can reach out. I think Dr. Shariffa has completed her presentation, so she left from the stage. Maybe due to network issues, she cannot respond to us. So we will pose the question if you have anything. So let's move on to the next speaker, Dr. Abu. Please join her next speaker session.